Next. Okay, so thank you for the introduction. As introduced, I'm based at the Institute of Infectious Disease and Molecular Medicine at the University of Cape Town in South Africa. And I, 5 years ago, was a frustrated postdoc, sitting in lockdown, really. And the second round for the call that the second round of applications for the call that Michelle so excellently described opened up, and it was the first time, and now we know the only time, that it was open to researchers or imaging scientists outside of the US. And it looked like a fantastic opportunity. And I applied to, see if I can use a pointer, I gave my proposal a grand title, I Dream Africa, to democratize microscopy for infectious disease research in Africa. I myself, as a cell biologist, was already working with various infectious disease models within the microscopy that existed in the Institute. And I proposed to actually form what was first a branch and then an entirely independent platform within our Institute, branching off from old and floundering core facility in a nearby building, because we had a bunch of systems that existed. They were often left behind by previous researchers, and they were unmanaged and underutilized. So I proposed to put them together as a core facility, but because I also have a very strong interest in assay development as well as skills transfer, I had experience from UCL, where I saw a whole bunch of people that looked like me, and I came back to South Africa, and I still saw a whole bunch of people that looked like me. And I knew we were hot on the tails of Imaging Africa, which was a workshop that we had run for microscopy training to researchers from across Africa. I knew that there was a demand and an interest for microscopy across the continent, but we didn't know where they were. So I had proposed a program to start reaching out to the community across Africa, build a network, run some training programs outside of the hub, and formed what I essentially called the IDM microscopy platform, or IDMU, to host all of these activities. Just to note, my appointment is academic. My institution doesn't know what an imaging scientist is, kind of still. So I'm called a research officer, but they like what I do because it generates a lot of attention. So from this award, there are fantastic headlines, which I couldn't find to put in yet, but first imaging scientist funded in South Africa, first imaging scientist funded in Africa, women in imaging science in South Africa. It generated a lot of attention, which allowed us to do quite a lot. For me personally, as I said, I was essentially a frustrated postdoc. I was, thank you, thrown into a deep end of my own making, and all of a sudden I was a platform manager for a new platform and a PI. Because of my academic appointment, it allowed me to forge a hybrid career path across these two streams, that it gave me both a sense of stability in what I could do and quite a lot of freedom to test things, to establish a platform to be managed and operated based on what I learned from my interactions with this community and seeing what worked well in our setting, with a lot of opportunities for training and management and leadership. Within the platform, we had quite a lot of growth. It's very easy to report a lot of growth when your starting point is not much, but especially with a slightly growing team in the last year or two, we have consistent growth in users that we train, consistent growth in hours used on the microscopes. Thank you, I'm running out of time. But I actually want to talk about everything else because of the attention that was generated from this award. Not that I did anything special to enable this, but the attention and the existing investment by outside funders into a person to do imaging science built confidence within our institution to agree to support massive initiatives such as the Africa Microscopy Initiative. So for those who haven't heard of it, I don't have time to tell you all about it, but it's a multi-pronged approach to building imaging capacity in Africa across a large open access imaging center, which shares space with my platform, as well as equipment redistribution and training programs. And even though I'm not officially involved in it, it's hard to not be involved in it when you share space. So this has been a massive enabler in addition to the initial award, running additional workshops such as Imaging Africa. In addition to those workshops, I've been able to do job shadowing, such as participating in Claire Brown's MLMC, which enabled me to launch our Cape Light Microscopy course, and a number of workshops that we've run from that. In addition to that, what I thought was me starting a Slack group for a few African colleagues ended up actually becoming the African Bioimaging Consortium, or ABIC. We secured CZI funding. We're now over 250 members across 23 continents. I could talk for 3 hours about ABIC, but I'm already out of time. We're still involved. We have 4 working groups. We've run annual meetings across the continent in the last 4 years, including one in Cairo coming up in 2 weeks' time. And we've also secured additional funds to actually carry out local research in infectious disease. I am still an academic researcher, and to develop and deploy technology, first through a CCI funded award in partnership with Imperial College to deploy open access imaging instrumentation first in Cape Town and train African users on it, and more recently with funding from the Wellcome Trust to adapt that technology to become more mobile and more easily usable by researchers in partnership with researchers in Uganda and Cote d'Ivoire, to increase access to instrumentation. Okay, so the last slide, as with Michelle's, is what did this award make possible? I would argue that none of this would have been possible without this award. But in addition, as Michelle mentioned, the award came with travel funding. And for someone at my career stage to have access to the amount of travel funding I did was highly unusual. This allowed me to attend our community's events across the continent, pull in researchers and visitors to our institution, run our collaborations, participate and immediately engage with this amazing global community. It created a lot of visibility for what I'm doing, as well as for the community, giving them a direct seat at the table, a direct voice in all of these situations that otherwise we would have been a few often faceless voices maybe on Zoom. And it's allowed me to interact with an amazing community that's honestly been a gift. I consider many of you not just colleagues and collaborators, but friends. And it's been fantastic. So thank you. Sorry for running over time.